When most people hear Adam and Eve, they think of two people, a man and a woman, a story about the beginning of humanity. But what if Adam and Eve aren't just people? What if they represent something happening within you every single day? Because the real story is about duality. So if you ever felt torn within yourself, part of you wanting one thing and another part pulling you in the opposite direction, so that would look like if you ever known what's right but struggled to follow it, felt peaceful one moment and overwhelmed the next, wanted love but also feared it, then you've experienced this, that inner conflict, that push and pull. Most people think it means something is wrong with them, but nothing is wrong. You're experiencing duality. So, the story of Adam and Eve is often taught as external, but it's also deeply internal. So, Adam and Eve represent two aspects of the self, not man and woman, but energy. So, awareness and emotion, logic and intuition, and structure with flow. So, before the fall, these aspects existed in harmony. There was no conflict, no division, no inner struggle. But after the fall, duality became felt. Now there was contrast, opposition, inner tension, and that's what we experience today. So let's break this down, what this actually looks like in real life, because duality isn't abstract. It shows up in your thoughts, your emotions, and your decisions every day. So let's look at the mind versus the heart. One part of you is logical. It analyzes, it protects, it tries to make the right decision. And the other part of you feels, it's intuitive, emotional, and drawn to connection. And sometimes these two don't agree. So this is your Adam and your Eve, not meant to fight, but to be understood. So let's look at the desire for love versus the fear of it. So you want connection, you want depth, closeness, real love. But at the same time, there's fear of being hurt, fear of being seen, fear of losing control. So you move towards love and you pull away at the same time, and that's duality. So the higher self versus the conditioned self, really. There's a part of you that knows peace, knows truth, it knows who you're becoming. And then there's the conditioned part of you. So the part that is shaped by past experiences, that cause the fear, the doubt, and the old patterns. And these two parts can feel like they're in conflict, but they're both part of your awareness. So then you have reaction versus conscious response. One part of you reacts automatically, it's triggered, emotional, and protective, and the other part observes. So it pauses, understands, chooses differently. And growth is learning how to move from reaction into awareness. So control versus surrender kind of looks like, you try to control the outcome to make things happen in a certain way, to avoid discomfort. But another part of you knows that peace comes from letting go, from trusting, from allowing. And this tension is something that we all navigate. So what do we do with this is what I was trying to say. Do we try to get rid of one side? Do we silence the emotional part or ignore the logical part? Really? No. Because healing isn't about choosing one, it's about integrating both. So your awareness and your emotions, your logic and your intuition, it's about learning how to listen without reacting, feel without losing yourself, and think without over controlling. Because when these parts work together, you move from inner conflict into inner alignment. And that's where peace begins, okay? So Adam and Eve aren't just a story about the beginning, they're a reflection of what exists within us. So the duality, the contrast, the inner experience of being human. But here's the truth, you're not meant to stay divided. You're meant to become aware, to understand, and to bring these parts into harmony. And that is how you begin to return to wholeness. So if this message resonated with you, if you're starting to recognize this within yourself, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because this channel is from awareness to integration to ascension. We're walking it together, and I'll see you guys in the next video.